Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward. Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
There were 3 significant al-Qaeda terrorist attacks leading up to September 11th. The first, on February 26, 1993, took place at the World Trade Center, where a truck bomb detonated below the North Tower, leaving over 1,000 people injured and 6 people dead.
Ramzi Youssef, the leader of the bombing, was the nephew of the man who planned the September 11th attacks.
In the next attack, on August 7, 1998, al-Qaeda operatives carried out bombings on U.S. embassies in Nairobi, Kenya, and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Over 5,000 people were injured and more than 200 people were killed.
In retaliation of the embassy bombings, Bill Clinton initiated Operation Infinite Reach. The operation called for the missiles to be launched from U.S. warships into the Al-Shifa pharmaceutical factory, which was believed to have been helping Osama bin Laden and had ties to building chemical weapons.
The third attack took place on October 12, 2000, when the USS Cole, a United States Navy-guided missile destroyer, was attacked by a suicide bomber while it was harbored in the Yemenite port of Aden.
(7:59 a.m., September 11th, 2001). American Airlines Flight 11, a Boeing 767 carrying 81 passengers and 11 crew members, departs from Logan International Airport in Boston, heading for LAX. 3 hijackers were on board.
8:14 a.m. United Airlines Flight 175, a Boeing 767 carrying 56 passengers and 9 crew members, also departs from Logan International Airport in Boston, heading for LAX with 5 hijackers on board.
8:19 a.m. Betty Ong, a flight attendant on Flight 11, alerts American Airlines via airphone.
I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked.
8:20 a.m. American Airlines Flight 77, a Boeing 757 with 58 passengers and 6 crew members, departs from Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia, heading for LAX. 5 hijackers were on board. 8:24 a.m. A radio transmission comes in from Flight 11.
We have some planes that stay quiet and will be okay. We're returning to the airport. Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll injure yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet.
8:42 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93, a Boeing 757, takes off with 37 passengers and 7 crew members from Newark International Airport, bound from San Francisco International Airport. 4 hijackers were on board.
8:44 a.m. Flight attendant Amy Sweeney reports something is wrong from Flight 11.
Eight 8:46 a.m. Flight 11 crashes into the north face of the North Tower of the World Trade Center.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
9:03 a.m. Flight 175 crashes into the south face of the South Tower of the World Trade Center between floors 77 and 85. All 65 people on board the plane died instantly.
Right, oh my God, another plane has just hit, it hit another building, flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll tell you what's going on.
So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
9:37 a.m. Flight 11 crashes into the west side of the Pentagon. All 64 people on board were killed.
9:58 a.m. The South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses, 56 minutes after Flight 175 hit.
Oh my god. Holy shit, the whole tower just fell. Oh my god.
10:03 a.m. Flight 93 crashes 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh in a field due to fighting between passengers and hijackers. The target of the flight was either the Capitol building or the White House.
10:28 a.m. The North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses.
On September 11, 2001, a total of 2,977 people died. 1,100 of them remain unidentified.
I heard a plane, low, and I looked out the window, and then I saw something push the building in, and then I saw the tail, and then I saw flames engulf the whole upper portion, and then I saw the smoke, and the whole trailer rocked. The trailer was almost lifted off the ground, and then I just started screaming because I could feel what was going on with the people.
What could you feel?
I just felt pain. And all I could think of was my family, to make sure that they knew I was okay, because they know that I work here. It just tore me up like it tore up the building. And then we saw the people jumping. We saw what we thought was debris, and we realized it was people jumping.
A sense of national unity and patriotism spiked higher than before. Immediately following the attacks, the American flag seemed to pop up everywhere. Some joined the military, often halting careers to protect the country. Pat Tillman famously put his football career on hold to join the Army, and later tragically lost his life in Afghanistan. Others lined up to donate blood. The Red Cross says more than 250,000 people decided to donate blood for the first time after September 11th. Americans felt a sense of obligation when it came to contributing, protecting, and supporting their country that had very recently experienced devastation and tragedy.
In many ways, the nation was in concord, and all Americans identified with the pain of the attacks. But there's a side of America that appeared after 9/11 that is not often talked about. Alongside the growth of patriotism, a newfound anger, fear, and paranoia arose, leading to the birth of new divisive and controversial issues, along with hateful acts of violence.
After the September 11th attacks, Sikhs became a target of violence. Sikhism is a monotheistic religion practiced mainly in India. Sikhs believe in sharing and equality between all people. However, they are still misunderstood. In the majority of these violent acts, Sikhs say they were mistaken for Muslims because of their traditional religious dress, which includes turbans, beards, and long robes.
On September 15, 2001, just 4 days after the attacks, a Sikh-American man named Balbir Sodhi was shot and killed by Frank Rogue in Mesa, Arizona. Rogue said he was lashing out on Arabs after watching the disturbing news reports regarding 9/11.
An overwhelming amount of Sikhs who have been victims of these crimes also report being called terrorists or Osama bin Laden by the perpetrators. In the months following the attacks of 9/11, more than 300 cases of hate crimes against Sikhs have been reported.
Sikhs were not the only target of this anger. After 9/11, some Americans began to wrongly associate the religion of Islam with violence and terrorism, solely because the attacks had been led by Muslim extremists.
Overall, there have been few reports of physical violence against Muslims in the United States. However, racial profiling has become common and Islamophobia has increased.
Shortly after 9/11, the Bush administration detained more than 1,200 people outside of the criminal justice system or immigration systems, denying many of them pre-hearing release or even a communication with family members or lawyers. Most were of Arab or South Asian descent, and many were ultimately deported without any criminal charge.
In 2002, the National Security Entry-Exit Registration System established a special registration and port of entry requirement. Together, they require that foreign visitors of the United States who are from a specific list of 24 Arab and Muslim countries must report to the government to be registered, fingerprinted, and interrogated upon entry.
In 2009, the New York Times published plans to build an Islamic cultural center, which would contain a prayer room. It would be built 2 blocks from Ground Zero and became incredibly controversial. To some, it became known as the Ground Zero Mosque.
Many Americans were deeply offended by this proposal and refused to support it. Studies and polls show that nearly 70% of Americans felt it would be wrong to build the Islamic Cultural Center so close to Ground Zero.
Some people explained that it would be offensive because the hijackers of 9/11 were Muslims. But again, this goes to show that people were grouping together a small amount of Muslim extremists with a majority of typical moderate Muslims.
We have enough mosques. We have them all over Long Island. We have them all over the United States. Put it somewhere else.
What it's really going to be is a monument to the 19 hijackers. This close to this site, it would absolutely be a monument to them, and I wouldn't stand for it.
After much protest and conflicting opinions, the Islamic Cultural Center opened its temporary space in 2011 to the public. One of the most disputed outcomes of 9/11 began on October 26, 2001, when President George Bush signed the USA Patriot Act into law, which stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act.
The act gave law enforcement agencies the ability to search telephone, email communications, medical, financial, and other records. It eased restrictions on foreign intelligence gathered in the United States and expanded the Secretary of the Treasury's authority to regulate financial transactions. The act expanded the definition of terrorism to include domestic terrorism, which increased the number of activities to which the powers can be used.
American citizens who oppose the Patriot Act argue that it violates their privacy rights and freedom because prominent governmental organizations such as the FBI, the CIA, the military, and police are given a greater authority when it comes to searching and thus gain more power.
The September 11th attacks have changed the United States forever. As the country moves forward, Americans have to look past these tensions that have been rooted into the nation and become stronger as a whole.